In this video, we are going to discuss workgroup versus domain in our course IT Fundamentals Part 1. This is basically a very important video for people to understand, and after this video, when you do exercises that will talk about domain network or anything like that, it's gonna be very easy for you to understand. So my assumption is that you're not skipping any videos in this course, because the reason it's very simple. If you skip these videos in the beginning, let's say for example, understanding the full office real network. So if you skip all of this stuff, it's going to be really hard for you to learn technical skills. You're going to learn it, but you're going to be always confused. Like, if I'm learning this specific thing in Windows 10, why am I learning it? You're going to always have this why question. That's because a lot of people start these courses and they look at it and they quickly want to get into practical stuff. But again, if you're a beginner, you should never want to skip over these type of videos where it's telling you something about image or something about something that is going to be important for you to understand. And when you understand that overall picture, then you get to understand technical learning very easily. So this video is extremely important because it teaches you that how a network engineer create things, then how does it transfer over to a sysadmin. After that, a sysadmin creates things, then how does it go to a help desk. Now, if you're trying to prepare for this job, you really need to understand why are people hiring you, for what reason, and then things are going to make super sense. So in this video, we are going to add a new addition to our core IT learning. This is where we tell people that you cannot skip this type of learning, because when you're learning about Windows and domain network environment, you got to understand how IP addresses and all these things are working. What is the reason behind this? The reason behind this, we need to know both, because when you get a computer from, let's say, Dell or Lenovo or HP, you don't get it managed, right? They don't send you a machine that is already managed by them. They just send you a fresh machine. They may install an operating system for you and you have to configure it then, or they may not do that. They may just send you some type of ISO file or a USB or some type of media that you can put that operating system on. So at that moment, that computer is on Workgroup. So you do need to know how to change it from Workgroup to domain, because you want to now make it more managed. So let's go to our PowerPoint just to get some more understanding. Number one is Workgroup. Number two is domain. So you can see Workgroup, there is no server required. Now let me give you a very basic example for Workgroup. You go to Best Buy, you buy your laptop. So when you buy your laptop, you bring it home. Then you have, let's say, a router somewhere inside your home, and then let's say you go to your room and you open the laptop and you get connected to this router basically. Now you can see that there was nothing in the middle. You didn't needed any other management server or nothing. You just got connected because you knew the password, number one, and you were able to get into this machine because you have created your own admin and user and password, or you could be a guest on that machine, but you just got into that machine because you knew the username and password. It was given to you and you could only get into this machine. So now imagine, let's say someone in your house try to get into your machine. They just get into your room, they want to get into your machine. They won't be able to do that unless they break into it, which is a different thing, but they won't be able to basically log into any account because they don't know the account. Even if they see the account username, they won't be able to use any other information like password because you have the password. So even if they do like a switch user, maybe other user or something like that, they won't be able to log in even if they have one account on their machine. Let's say they have another laptop over here. So they may have a username and password as well. They may be connected to the same router, but they have a separate username and password to get into their machine. They cannot get into you cannot get into theirs. So now make this like a company now. Let's say you're working for a company and they didn't have any management. So they may have one machine over here and multiply that with 20 more machines. So imagine everybody will need their own account to get in to their machines. So now if they had an issue, you need to go and help them. You need to know their username and password. They may even forget it. Now that's even more problem right there. So Then of course, then you need to manage these machines, all 20 machines. You won't be able to do that easily because you need some type of management server in between, so you can get into these machines with just one single account. That won't work. So there's a lot of issues in this area for business type of environment. This may work for home because you don't need servers in the home. You do need your own privacy. Yes, this is a great option for the home, and I will show you how you can verify this stuff later on in this video. But this is a clear, simple example, not too technical examples. That's how people will define Workgroup. Then if you come to the domain side of it, this is how the companies are using networks. So they get the same machine right here in this example, but now in the middle they will have something like domain controller, and that is where Active Directory will play a very big role, because you can see user accounts are stored in Active Directory, and then that server is basically Active Directory is installed inside that server operating system. So now this is like a king inside your network, because all of these machines are connected to it through network. And if you are the admin over here, you can basically manage your machines from that single account. So this person having an issue, this person may be, let's say, locked out. So you can, from here, you log into your machine, somehow get connected to the Active Directory, which you're going to learn later on how to manage Active Directory from your machine, and then you basically unlock this person. This person may be saying that I cannot even get into my machine. Maybe this is dropped from the network. So still you can come back and troubleshoot this type of issues. Or this person may say I need to access a, let's say, a folder on the network. Now everything is connected, so then the permissions and everything like that becomes very easy, and you can simply give this person an access to a folder on a network, and then this person will get in with no issues. This person may say I need a software, can you give me a software? So now if you're the admin over here, you can deploy the software by using your softwares easily, because you're in the network, you have the access. You can do basically almost everything to help these users out, and that would be the big difference between these two, why people would prefer this in a company environment when they are even small, medium, large, depending on what their requirements are. Not everybody uses Active Directory, but most of the people in IT knows about Active Directory. Probably 98% of the IT professional will probably know this, because, and this is why you need to learn this skill so you can impress people. Now let's get into a little bit more official type of understanding. So you can see, if you click on the work group, you see this is a peer network work group. So this could be a hub, a Wi-Fi inside your computer, inside your home network, or any, let's say, lab environment. You go to the business and they may have a lab that is just connected to the switch, and then it's not joined to any servers. You're just managing them as a group. Okay, so if you look at the example of Active Directory right here, it's basically is a client server. A lot of people also use, when we talk about Active Directory or domain network, they may also use client server network. Has clients workstation as well as server or many servers. As you can see in the figure, the clients are labeled computer A, B, laptop A, and so on. There's also a file server and a directory server, which is used to manage user accounts. So in other words, you have some type of switch right here. Inside that switch, you see that there's a server that has a lot of users. So that could be your AD, which is Active Directory installed on this. This could be a domain controller as well. Then there's another server connected to Active Directory, is joined to this network, but this is serving files to this computer because of this guy right here, because of the access, because of the management. People can get into this files very, very easily. And if this was you right here, you would be able to manage everybody from your machine in this network with no issue at all. Okay, so now if we move on to the official understanding of what is Active Directory, if people ask you, it is a directory service available with the Windows Server platform. So when we talk about Active Directory, we're talking about Windows Server platform. We're not talking about Linux over here. AD Active Directory, that's Windows right there. It stores information in credential database and central database, and allow users to have a single user account called a domain user account. Remember, whenever you add a user inside Active Directory, which you will later on find out practical, and when we add a user in Active Directory, that user is a
by default a domain user account. Now you can then give it more rights, becoming more a domain admin, enterprise admin, stuff like that. But the user account is called domain user account. Just know this because people may ask you in the interview, and this would be your official way to explain this. But you can also say that Active Directory is a management, a client server management, where you can manage other machines inside your business. You can give a very normal type of answer when it comes to stuff like that. There's no official answer into this that you have to really talk about the way it is in here, but it's good to have some little bit of explanation, like it's a central database and allow users to have a single user account called domain user. So if you see that, I think that's a good and solid answer. Okay, so now moving on. Inside the company, how does it work when we have an Active Directory? So just let's do a little bit of visual understanding. So if you come over here, you see this is our image right here. Now this is coming from testout.com when we give this type of access in our live training, but here I'm using this image just so people can have a better understanding. So you can see right here, this is an executive office right here, and then we have this IT administration team. So these guys are going to be mostly coming over here and adding that server. So this could be a data center right here, and in here there will be this let's say for example there's a server right here, and that's AD right here. We have installed AD, either a physical server or a virtual server, that doesn't matter. Most likely a lot of people are using virtual server and they put Windows Server on it, and then they install Active Directory domain services on that server. So now you see that if you are sitting here, first of all, your computer through the network somehow going to the jack, wall, whatever, and coming over here, and then you get connected to the network, to that computer. That computer is then joined to this Active Directory, and now you basically have a management computer. So usually you have access, you have more access than other users. That is why people will make you help desk, because then you can help these people right here. So let's say for example in Office 2, this is our accounting person. This person locked themselves out because they were trying it multiple times. So then what will happen? You're not going to go walk out there to unlock them. You're just going to go to your computer right here and go to the Active Directory through the management tools, and then you will unlock this person through the network. This is what we call a managed environment. Because if this was a workgroup computer, there was no Active Directory in the middle, let's say, you can use some other way to get into that, but most likely you would have just walked in there and then fixed it. What if this is like so many other people? Of course, even if this was on a network and there was no centralized management, still is a painful job. It doesn't have to be just walking in there. It's very painful job than if you don't have some type of management going on. And there's other benefits that management gives you too, which you will find out later on. But for now, just understand that this is how we use Active Directory to make our life very, very easy. Now moving on, we're gonna go into a little bit of a realistic example of how do you determine which one is Active Directory, and how do people actually test you in this stuff. So here I'm going to log into our server.
So in this scenario, I'm going to be using a sandbox because all of our members will have this lab available if you have purchased our membership after March 2022 as a light member, plus member, and premium member. So right now I'm using a premium membership lab, but everyone should have access to 2019 sandbox practice lab server. Again, if you don't have this access, this means you probably purchased our plus membership before March 2022, so you have to contact us and you can buy this sandbox individually if you want to do that, or you can upgrade to premium level. So now we are going to kind of just go over this lab and show you some examples, about Workgroup or how systems are connected in a companies. So let's just talk about this topology and talk about what's Workgroup over here, computers, and what are some what are some of the domain connected. So if we look at this lab topology in the sandbox, you can see it says that Windows Server 2019, but that doesn't make it a domain network environment. But what makes it is basically we're saying that PLAB DC01 is a domain controller. So when we talk about this, in companies, this is kind of like the management machine, which has Active Directory on it. And later on, you guys will understand what is Active Directory, and you will get into more of that detail. But if we look at this second machine, which is saying that, which is 2019 server, but it's a domain member. So they're saying this machine is being managed by this server. It's a domain member. This is a king right here, and this is a domain member. So this machine is a member of this machine. So you can access this machine through remote or some other tools, and you can manage now both of these machines because you have access control over this person right here. Now this is a interesting part where it says standalone server. When it says standalone in practice labs or your work environments, it's going to say Workgroup. That's going to be the name of, normally in the Windows, it's going to be that. And similarly with Windows 10 machine, when it says standalone, these machines are not managed. When you buy a machine from shops and somebody give it to you, those machines are just like that. It's standalone. You can just go and log into it locally and you manage it only. Unless you add somebody else as an admin, that person can access that machine, but still they cannot get to your files because it's not managed like that. Now, in companies, you get a machine just like this and you add it as a member. Then you make this machine no more a standalone, you make it a member. You make this machine a member of this server, so then you can manage it in companies. And that is kind of like the concept when it comes to learning anything about these labs, because if you log into practice labs that are built like that, so it's important for you to understand this lecture, to maybe watch it twice if you don't understand it, learn some more about domain networks. Because as soon as you log into these practice labs, yes, they're great. This is in a machines and everything is running, but it is still managed. There's some kind of connections going on. So for someone who's brand new to technology and they're learning things, even just looking at the screen can be a little bit of what is this kind of thing, right? So now understand it, that this is a server that has a management tool which basically controls all of these other machines unless they are standalone, where it says SA right here, and then we had this other machine in Windows 10, which was probably this one, is also it's a Workgroup machine. So this doesn't say standalone here, right? But how do you determine? You can go to the systems right now and go into these machines, and then look on the bottom right here. You go to the system info, and you say it says Workgroup right here. So this has nothing to do with this machine. This is the king in this whole lab, but this lab does not manage it. If I go into this lab and I want to see where's Active Directory, I can go and open administrative tools, and I can double click on Active Directory users and computer, and from here you can also see which machine in this lab is actually being managed. So we can see plab MD01 server and plab Win10, this right here, this one is being managed. So if you knew this stuff, I'm sure some of you have watched videos before joining JSS, you probably will know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're brand new to this stuff, then don't worry too much over here. Focus more on your course. After this lecture, the more you're going to get into these specific units, it's going to make more sense to you. So now when you're doing this first module after this lecture, you will understand when it says remove a system from domain. So after this lecture, if you have fully watched this lecture that I'm creating right now, then you know exactly what this is talking about, right? This is talking about removing this machine from the domain, which is, let's say, Windows 10 machine, which is this one. Let's go ahead and open it. Go to systems. And when you go to systems now, when you go to click on system info, because you watched this and you fully understand workgroup versus domain, now you know that this machine is a part of which domain? practicelabs.com. Where is practicelabs.com? Which is right here. It is running under Active Directory. You can perform that task. If you come to this module 1, it says remove a machine from a domain. Then you now know that I am going to basically go to settings. I'm going to click on change, and I'm going to click on workgroup, and I'm going to name it to workgroup, and that's it. It's going to be removed from the domain. If I want to rejoin into the domain to this Active Directory again, I'm going to type the same domain name and rejoin it back again. But again, this is why you did this one lecture before going into basics because you needed to understand how things are connected in practice labs. That doesn't mean you need to get started with Active Directory and learning all that stuff and kind of not go into these other modules. The other modules now will focus more in Windows 10 environment, which you still need to learn about Windows 10 and command line and some other basics before you get into a lot of Active Directory stuff, a lot of deployment stuff, and things are going to slowly make sense. So be patient with this learning. It is going to come with time. It's going to come with repetitiveness. It's going to come with your mindset. It's going to come with some breaks because you are learning skills and you're not just learning something for passing certification anymore. So thank you for watching this lecture. If you're still confused, let us know in comment sections. We will share more videos. But again, I feel like if you watch the understanding complex, infrastructure, all of this stuff, all of these videos, if you watch it fully, and if you watch the core IT learning fully, I feel like you're going to have a very solid understanding of the next things that are going to come in these courses. Thank you.